It's the test, page 171. Okay, today's topic, let me bring this line. Which page on here? It's 47. Ah, Mishkoyach. Get the who? Who? Ah, who's that? Okay. أنا مش أنتم لختك بدرك. Okay. So today's topic is a topic. The question was, is there an issue with a Yid, the Jew living in Mitzrayim in Egypt nowadays? So this is connected with this week's parsha, because in this week's Parsha Shoftim, Pasuk says, "V'lo yashiv es Mitzrayim again." It's actually today's Chumash. Those who learn Chitas is today's Chumash. V'lo yashiv es Mitzrayim again, and you should not return the people back to Egypt. Hashem Amar Lachem, Hashem has told you, Lo yisesifun lashuv b'derech haza'id, you should not again go back in that way anymore. So this is the halacha which we learn out. The Gemara brings us, Gemara Sukkah. The Gemara says that a Yid is not allowed to go and bazetzen sich, lishtakeya means to live there in a permanent way, to settle there, to settle in Egypt. Like we're going to see, this halacha is that if he's going to Mitzrayim for pragmatia, for sfeira, for business, that's okay. But if he's not allowed to go there to settle, and Chazal say that in three places the Yidden were warned not to go back to Mitzrayim. Right. So the Rambam in his Sefer Yad HaChazaka, his Halacha Sefer, he brings this halacha. He says that a Jew is not allowed to settle in Mitzrayim. And the Rambam, interesting, when he brings this halacha, that a Jew is not allowed to settle in Mitzrayim, he doesn't say that was in the olden days. He doesn't mention anything like that. He says that a Jew is not allowed to settle in Egypt. Sounds like even today is not allowed to settle in Egypt. So comes out, according to the simple halacha, that the Rambam holds that they're not allowed to settle in Egypt, even Mizman Hazah. Page 171.
Thank you.
The bigger item on Zoom over here. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we just got started. So that's what it sounds from the Rambam. The Rambam says even nowadays, so the Rambam doesn't make a difference. Doesn't say it was only a whole thing. It's even nowadays, you're not allowed to settle in Egypt. Right? This week's parsha.
Even though the Rambam himself was
So this is the question. Question is that the Rambam himself lived in Mitzrayim, and not only the Rambam, there were many communities which lived there, Jewish communities in Egypt until recent years, and going back even now, yeah.
Jewish community.
Really, yeah.
They're watching the show from the Rambam.
Probably like exactly. I mean,
Museum.
that's a small amount.
Yeah, small amount, of course, small amount.
And after the famous after the time of during the in after the first bias Beis Hamikdash and during the second Beis Hamikdash there was in Alexandria there was a massive Jewish community, massive, very huge, and through the generations there were a lot of Eden there. So how does that fit? So I'm not gonna. That's not what I'm really going to focus on today, on those specific questions. But since this is a question which is a pretty it's a Chelek, and it's a question which is brought up. So yeah, so the Mepharshim explain this. The Rambam's Einikel, the Rambam's grandson, he says that his grandfather, the Rambam, used to sign off his name. He used to sign off the one who's over every day 3 lavim, because 3 times it says that you should not go back to Mitzrayim. Right? One of them is this week's parsha.
Like,
So the 3 times it talks about it. The question is how. So the Rambam writes about himself that he is over every 3 lavim every day. So it's a little hard to understand. The Rambam, we know who the Rambam was. The Rambam was the one who codified the halacha. He was he says from Mesha ad Mesha lekamka Mesha. Right? The Rambam was writing about himself that he did. He's being over every single day. The he's being over 3 lavim for living in Mitzrayim. So we have to understand that. Okay? And also we have to understand about the other kahillas. So the different answers. There's a lot of stuff. This question already is asked by the Rishonim. This question about the Rambam, the Yudeim, one of the Rishonim asked this question. Mertche talks about the Smag. All the Rishonim are discussing this question. It's not a new question. And then there's also the Achreinim also talk about this question. So there's different answers given. So Rabbeinu Bachya, also Rishon, he says that it was only the Isser of going back to Mitzrayim was a one-time thing. It was for that generation because then they were very mekukul, right? Because then they were very depraved, very immoral at that time. So he holds that that Isser doesn't apply anymore. After that, it's okay. It doesn't apply anymore.
the Issa was only that time.
Yeah.
Now we allowed.
Right.
Where do they get that notion from?
And
You can't just think up ideas like that out of your own head.
that's right. So the Rebbeinu Bach is one of the Rishonim, but most people argue with what he says because it's very hard to understand. No, because he got that from. I think from he was saying at that time that was they were very mekukul, the nice Mitzrayim. But
That's correct, but I mean that
right.
doesn't mean you can,
No, because he's trying to answer why
the Rambam is
the Rambam and all the Kibbutz Ekdeshis were living. There was so many Yidden living there. How did they understand this?
so the Rambam admitted that he's doing wrong.
Right. So
He was honest.
right. So even from the Rambam, most people, most other even the Rishonim, they argue with that, and like you see, the Rambam himself says he's being over 3
signing his name with saying.
And not only does he say that, but in Mishnah Torah, he writes it down like the halacha l'masa.
Perfect. Exactly. That's where we started off. Right. Exactly. That he doesn't say that it was only from his man. Yeah. He doesn't say that today's different. Yes. Even today. He doesn't actually say the word, but he brings it as halacha. Yeah. He doesn't say. He doesn't say that it's only old thing.
Without Archie, he could say, for instance, that it's also to live in Paris because Paris is full of snoote and
right. So you could say that. Well, the thing is, we can't. One of the things we can't mechadish our own isser, our own lace house, right? But yeah, saying. But so that was the Rebbeinu Bach. There's others. I think there's also from the Rishonim. I think it's the Snag. They say that the lashon is, and the pasuk says, "Leisasifum lashav b'derech hazeid." Leisasifum lashav b'derech hazeid. So he learns that you can't go to Mitzrayim. You could go to Mitzrayim, but you just can't go back. But derech hazeh, there's a sifon there's a sifon lashul b'derech hazeh. You can't go from Eretz Yisrael through this derech back to Mitzrayim. The derech which they came, you can't go back through that derech. That's what he says.
And there were some very great people who did that. So for instance, even the Arizal, he came back to Israel and and he went back to Egypt.
Right.
Before he came back the second time.
Right.
Why
Now-
there is
now-
go to Egypt?
Now, I want to mention about that Izol.
Why would there is go to Egypt?
There's a story about it. I don't remember the story.
Well, it's a good question, but that's what I'm just saying. That's the fact.
No, but why would you go to there if you live in Sfas?
No, it's a good question. I don't know, but that's the fact.
We'll have to look up the history of it.
Or maybe there's no money in the soil, it's starvation, so he had no choice to go.
But once he mentioned that Izol, I mentioned what that Izol, how that Izol explains this leisas.
Right.
He says, what's the reason? Pneumius, Kabbalah. What's the reason?
The land is bad or the people are bad?
Oh, we'll get to that in 1 second. That's a great. That's right. That's going to be the next discussion. So that's the Mamish heading.
It's called Ervat Haaretz.
Right.
So
that's the land itself. That's what to do with the
bad.
people.
It's
Right.
like Shlosha Kibbutz at Mers. It's like you're going to a Machne Tumer, like
Right.
you walk into a Machne
Right.
Tumer.
I get to 1 second. I just want to finish your first question.
Okay.
So, basically, he mentioned on the way he mentioned that Arizal explains that Yidden go all over the world to be Mavara the Tzitz and Tzitzis.
It's
Right?
come spark left in
So when
Mitzrayim.
we left Mitzrayim,
We
it
left the
says
spark.
we cleaned out the whole Mitzrayim. We took out rage based Tzitzis.
But something we left.
We took out everything from Mitzrayim. So he says there's no reason for a Yid, and therefore he's not supposed to go there, because no reason for a Yid to go to Mitzrayim. But they finished doing everything they needed to do in Mitzrayim.
We elevate.
We elevate everything we needed to.
So if we elevate, why the land is Tumer? Why the land
They
is
took all the Ktush out.
right?
But that's how he explains it. He explains that there's no reason, and therefore you're not supposed to go to Mitzrayim since we elevate everything we needed over there. But you didn't spread out all over in order to Nevada the Berudim, the Tzitzis in all different places. But Mitzrayim is getting back to the question, how do we explain the Rambam, right? So one of the explanations is we just finished, I think, the smack that says you can't go from Eretz Yisrael back through the same derech back, but you could go from Chutz La'aretz to Eretz Yisrael.
In other words,
To Mitzrayim.
if you come from Chutz La'aretz to Eretz Yisrael and you want to pass through Mitzrayim, let's say you come from Iraq or Iran,
Now you could go to
you
Mitzrayim.
you're not allowed.
Yeah,
You have to go all around.
yeah. You well,
No,
one
to pass
second. You're allowed to pass by. Remember, the problem over here is to settle. You're allowed to go for business, let's say. You're allowed to go.
Right. Or for tour, you're allowed. I want to see the
Temporary, you're allowed to go.
I want to see the pyramid. I'm allowed to.
You go. You know, the Frida Kedeva was there also. The Frida Kedeva saw the pyramids. There's a letter he said.
He went to the pyramid.
Says he wrote. Yeah. Say the letter that he writes. He saw the pyramids.
So in other words, just to go visit, you're allowed to.
You're allowed to.
Not to sit, not to live.
Yeah.
He
Obadiah
went to
Yosef.
Egypt specifically to see the pyramids.
I think he was traveling through. I think, but he stopped. He had a stopover over there. Yeah,
The train. He went by train.
I think so.
No, could be when he went to Eretz Israel. Maybe
Yeah,
in his
yeah,
time,
yeah.
there
That's right.
was no direct boat to Eretz Israel.
Right,
He had to go
right,
to Alexandria first.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. That's
exactly.
what happened. He went to Alexandria
Excellent,
and then
yeah.
he took a train to
Right.
to Israel.
So you're allowed to,
Morocco.
that's not an issue, right? So that's not an issue. It's not an issue to go to for temporary. Problem is if you're going to settle,
Right.
you're even allowed to stay, just stay there for a little bit.
But they said, what's the room over there? We leave them. So he said, I can't take it anymore. I went to sir.
Uh-huh.
It's a young, it was a room over there, died.
Uh-huh.
And they say, I can't take it anymore. We don't tell the sir.
Uh-huh. So another explanation, which is that only another Rishonim think that is only when I'm not sure if it was Rishonim, I forgot who said this, but that's only when all the Yidden are in Eretz Yisrael,
Then you're not allowed.
because then you're not allowed to go to. Everyone's supposed to be there. I'm not sure. I don't remember what exactly his explanation for it, but and then there was another explanation like this. Explanation of the Radvaz. The Radvaz explains about the Rambam. The Radvaz says that when you go into Eretz Yisrael, when you go into Eretz, the Rambam says you don't get markers for this. Why? Because when you go in, you didn't do any ma'isa yet to show that you're settling, as you're going in. Maybe you're going into for business, and then when you decide to settle, so then already there's no ma'isa because you're already here, so you don't get markers for it. He wants to say that so you came there. The Rambam fled there from Morocco. So once you come in,
he found he didn't hold from this tradition about only from Eretz Israel because he came from
he visited Eretz
Morocco.
Yisrael also. Well, no, you came from Morocco, right?
Yeah, I'm saying so. He came
Yeah,
from
very good.
He
Right,
didn't hold from the
right,
traditions about someone also coming from Eretz Israel.
right. Right. I'm not familiar with the whole because I do remember something that Amram did visit Eretz Yisrael. I don't remember when at what point exactly, but there was a point that he went to.
In his lifetime, he came to the soul to live.
I think so. If I remember correctly.
Oh yeah, come to
They put the on his
Right.
coffin. They put on a camel,
Right.
and the camel keep walking. Again, it's
Right.
up by Tveria.
yeah, no, now I remember. Yeah, there's a thing that he went on the Harabayit.
There was something that he came. Hanan. Yeah, he's saying once you came there, he came there, then it was Beheter, and then he wanted to say something that's and once he was there, he didn't really want to settle there, even though he was there. He would then
Parnasa, he needed parnasa.
he says that the parnasa that it wasn't very hard to find food then at that time. So
Right.
that was the heter for the other yidden there. But that's not enough of a reason to say to take away the leisasa. But we wanted to say that since they didn't plan on settling there, that wasn't their plan, and so it was only like awesome with Rabbanan sort of, and therefore he was able to therefore they were able to stay from the Mezainis. And the Rambam, he explained the Rambam had to be there because once he became the doctor of the Sultan, so then he was like onus. He wasn't able to leave.
Yeah.
And the fact it's self not but anything is murder.
Right.
So he was so close to the
Right.
Mulufar.
Right.
I mean, let's see if all of a sudden the Sultan who
Right.
died and the new one came
Right.
to power, who doesn't like the Jews.
Right.
So he's in position to
He himself didn't want to be there to Rambam, right?
Right.
But I guess he would, based on this conversation, I guess he was forced. Sultan wanted him.
Right.
No, but I'm saying that even if the Sultan,
Yeah,
even if not that, he was there in order to protect the Jews. Let's say if this Sultan would die, so then Vayakam Melech Chadash al Mitzrayim.
Yeah, interesting.
So he'll be in a position to save the Jews from this new Sultan.
Yeah, so I think that
Oh, I mean, like Malka Esther. Obviously, she was put there, modified says, in order to save the Eden. So he's saying that Rambam was put there to save the Eden.
right. So
Maybe that's what he had in mind.
So I think that Radvaz says that and it sounds like they didn't have the Isra anymore, but Maisa the Rambam Zainikel writes that he would sign that he's over that about himself that he's over every day 3 loud.
He had to frustrate it so much because they're bothering him. Not only the Melucha bothering him, the poor people waiting all day long and this.
Right. He writes a schedule. He writes
few stories that they try to say it's not a real doctor.
He writes to one of his Talmidim that he doesn't have time. He's sorry for not being able to answer properly.
Yeah, you want to answer
Rambam. Yeah,
you want to write Chiburim and stuff like that.
Are you saying the Rambam Zainikel Robinson's name?
I think it's in the cast of letter. I'm not sure the quotes. Yeah, I don't remember the name. He had it at Avram, right? It was his son. Avram Ben Aram was bought a lot. He did a lot of things from his father. I think it was in Nehemiah. I don't remember exactly. I think maybe. So he's so. But I saw one of the Svarim. I saw actually Rabbi Yasha. He writes that it makes sense that it seems like if the Rambam wrote that he's over, it means that he's like all these other drachim. He didn't hold all these answers. Only what he must be because he was just honest, and that was enough of a reason he was forced to be there. I saw an interesting write that somebody was writing. I don't know if it's it's about someone from now was writing, that the problem of going to Mitzrayim was because the Eretz others, because the bad, the moral, right? So it depends. If you went there, if you go there because you want to be part of Mitzrayim, you want to settle there, you want to want to be part of Mitzrayim, that was your kavanah. So then it's a
I
problem.
don't understand. Didn't Yosef himself, didn't he turn it around and made everybody? So when he made everybody move, nobody felt it was their land anymore. So, what kind of mix-up was it then? What kind of mix-up was it then? If he mixed them all up,
What are you saying? Right?
Yosef made everybody move to
Yeah,
different areas.
yeah.
So it's not the same tumah then, no?
But the Eretz itself is bad. The land is bad.
Okay, so one
The
second.
tumor.
So we'll see in 1 second. I'm saying, but even when the Yidden they want to leave Mitzrayim and Mitzrayim, even if they were moved around, they were still immoral people. They were still wherever they were. They were still not the ethical people.
They command from the Torah not to go back to Mitzrayim after they even went out. So not while they were there.
Right after the left, and
I
it says,
called up today about Yisrael Horizon. They said, broker brought me in, I should sell cannabis in this store. Says it's legal. They said alcohol is legal, stock market gambling is legal, the lottery is legal. So I should know the next thing is legal homosexuality. That's why the Noach, the flood happened. So Rabbi Reisman says, yeah, you're right, because of ethical reasons I'm not doing it. He said a Kodesh Baruch should help because you're not letting the cannabis store open up on everywhere.
well, yeah.
What's wrong with that selling cannabis?
Okay, so let's not get carried away. So he was saying that the problem of going to Mitzrayim was because you want to settle there, right? So you want to be part of the culture, so like be part of the vested. That's the shtakel is to settle there. But if you're not going there because you really don't want to be there, you really want to leave Mitzrayim. You don't want to be there. You don't want to settle there. So then you're not really over this. And so he says, how come the Rambam wrote that he's over free? He says either for other people or because maybe he felt maybe he wasn't with the emes. Maybe he didn't feel like maybe he wasn't with the emes. Okay, this is really all. This was a side thing. I want to get to what you.
I don't like all these things because just like people just figuring things up out of their own heads.
Right. Okay, I hear you. But a lot of most of the things we mentioned, most of the things which we mentioned are from the Rishonim and the earlier and Grace
Even the
Achrenim.
Rishonim, they were confronted by a fact. So and they were trying to explain it away. But if they didn't have a Kabbalah, they didn't have Masorah. That's the what the reading.
Right. I hear. So you have to look. So
trying to monitor the food.
right. So we have to look carefully into what they said, and we have to try to work to understand where they got this from. But at the end of the day, right, we believe that the Rishonim Kamalach from the Rishonim that is divinely inspired, and so they had that special inspiration. So even if whether they had tradition or not, like the Rashi writes clearly. Some places in Nach, this is Min Hashamayim Heruni, from Shamayim they showed me.
Who said that?
The Rashi himself.
Where did he say that?
In Nach, he writes this more than once.
I never
And
came
the
across
Ravid says the Ruach Hakedesh was Mefia the base Midrasha. It says
Rashi?
I'm saying about the Ravid, about all the Rishonim. It says great things. These were different people.
I know that they talk about I never came across anything that Rashi said a thing like that.
Not in Nach.
I'm talking about it now.
In by the Binyan Habayis by Cheskel.
Okay, I learned that. I don't recall about Rashi having said anything like that. And what the Rabbah says, that I'm aware of that, and that's very, very. It's very difficult because even if he did say that, I mean, God didn't reveal.
That's for halacha. But for a Kiddush, you could say.
No, he said.
Okay, but I
he
think we're
said
going
that
off topic. Yeah.
the Ravad, that according to that, that appears in the Ravad is has to do with the halacha,
Uh-huh.
and you can't have new halachot after Moshe.
Right. Okay, that's another discussion. It's a good question. There's an answer for that also. But I think I feel like we're going to go off a little bit. But yeah. Okay. So the question which the Rebbe asked was really the question which was already asked earlier already by the Chida. Right. The Chida asks. There's another halacha, Benegea Mitzri. It's another halacha about an Egyptian. It says you're not allowed to marry. It says in the Torah, in Chumash, you're not allowed to marry a an Egyptian, a Mitzri.
For 10 days?
No, for 3 days, yeah. For Der Shlishi, till the third day, which means 3 generations. They have to be Gadim, and then you can marry them.
So 2 into the 3 or 3 into the 4? Probably 3 into the 4.
What?
3 days.
2 days now in the 4th, yeah.
No. Der Shlishi, because you can marry Der Shlishi.
I mean, 2 days now and then the 3rd, yes.
Yeah, so third, yeah. So, but the Rambam Paskins, right? The Rambam Paskins and Hilchos Yisur that it doesn't apply today.
Because the Goyish Egyptians that live there today are not really Egyptian.
Exactly. Why?
It's all
Because
messed up.
exactly, because Sanchedav, when Sanchedav came, right? Sanchedav Melech Asher, the Rambam writes, Allah Sanchedav Melech Asher, and the king of Sanchedav, the king of Asher came, Bilbor Kala Umayis Beirim Zebazeh.
Right.
He mixed up all the nations, and
Nobody could say I'm Egyptian.
Iglesim came and he put them in exile. Ve'ela Masiim She'eretz Mitzrayim Ata Anoshim Achedim him. These people in Eretz Mitzrayim are different people.
That's different people, but he didn't mix up the lands. He didn't.
Same thing as
So you're saying this point. So Hayil ben Isarvu, very good. We're gonna get to that 1 second. So Hayil ben Isarvu, since they're mixed, Puter Hakel, everyone became mutter. All the Mitzrayim, we can marry them. Shekala Pedish Mehem, these guys Chaskasha Shepedish Min Adei, because whoever separates from them to become get. Right. If we have time, I want to get into that. Yeah. So he says anyone who's paydish from them to become a ger it's chazaka that he's paydish from the day, which the days today in Mitzrayim is not the original Egyptians. So the question is, if it's different people, so then why are we saying you can't go back to Mitzrayim? Well, those immoral people are not there anymore. They're different people.
The evil people is not there. Different.
Right.
The land, he didn't.
He
He didn't up all the land in Mitzrayim. Somewhere else.
But what you're saying, and Rabbi Greenwald was also saying,
They need to have a gears.
is you were mentioning that maybe it has nothing to do with the people and with the Mitzrayim, it has to do with the lands. With the land is in Taka the Rambam in a different halacha says that it seems to him that if a Jewish king, based on the Bezdin gave him to go ahead. We're holding
172.
Yeah. If they told if they conquered the Jewish king based on the Bezdin goes and conquers the land of Mitzrayim, so then it's muteres, is you're allowed to go back to go there. He only said that individuals, the chidim, shouldn't go back. But if it's in the hand of goyim, because its meisim are very immoral, more than all the other lands. So this lashon shemaseha, because its actions is going in the land, is more makokol, more depraved than all the other lands. So it sounds it has to do with the lands. Doesn't say masehem, their actions, their behaviors. And you could explain, how would you explain it? We'll explain it like Chazal say that there are some places which or some springs which they grow people who are smart, some lands make people are, and that place has something to it that makes the people which live there are either smart, and that's whatever it is. And there's lands which make people immoral. So you're going to explain that therefore it doesn't make a difference if it's not
people know is that the most biggest stupid in the world.
So it says so even though it could be different goyim there. It doesn't have to be the original goyim, right? So still you can't be there because the land and the people which live in that land doesn't make a difference. Not the original people, original families. Doesn't make a difference. There's still the land itself is a problem. So but if it's done through a Yiddish king, which based on Bezdin, so then it becomes, if it's based on Bezdin, it becomes a part of Eretz Yisrael. Kivush, this Kivush becomes like Eretz Yisrael, and then it changes, becomes a different type of land. It becomes part of Eretz Yisrael.
It would have been nice if Eretz Yisrael kept Egypt in 67 more.
Yes, that's
Cairo is part of Eretz Yisrael.
We were 3 kilometers from Cairo with the tanks. The Rebbe scheme, why did Saul did not drove to Cairo, make a U-turn just to be there to show, I was there. Why did they blow up the water, they have
Sinai. They gave back the whole Sinai.
we give the oil, there's millions of dollars we give it for free, for nothing.
See, right now we're having they're coming right now. It's close to the border now with
Thousands of tanks.
right now the right,
Egyptians.
Yeah, they make tunnels and everything. They have the Gaza the
but
whole
right now they're breaking the treaty. Right now they're coming close. But
With the Egyptians.
Yeah, for what? Why they put the thousand tanks right on the border? For what?
so, but the Rebbe said for 1 second in Sefer HaMitzvahs, the Rambam does write that shall milmad mimaseihem from their actions, which seems to imply that the problem is with the people. We should learn from the people, from their actions. And it's also hard to say that let's say there's not going to be anyone anyone there, so you can say also it's an issue. I'm saying because to live there, it's hard. It's hard to. It's so there is we do see that there is also an issue of the people. So on one hand, we do see that the first to answer the Chidah. The Chidah was explaining that the issue is more with the lands making the people immoral. But the Rebbe said we do find
The land makes the people immoral, and on the contrary, the people are immoral, and they matame the land.
right. That's one way, right? But there is another thing which we were saying yourself before, right? The land, the issue with the land, even though it's not the original people, right?
Because the people matamed it.
Okay, let's say, right?
Yeah.
So, and then it makes the future people to not be right, to not be moral, right? So there is such a concept of a land. That's what we were just saying before. There is such a concept of a land making certain types of people in that land.
Lahavdil, Arabai is a holy place. We don't have a Beis Hamikdash, but the land itself is holy. The opposite is in Mitzrayim. The land itself is tumah. The land itself is.
Oh, yeah, right. So but if it does become part of Eretz Yisrael, then you could lift it up. Like Eretz Canaan was also very immoral. It says the same thing, just like it says about Ma'aseh Eretz Mitzrayim. You shouldn't do like the way Mitzrayim. It also said Ma'aseh Eretz Canaan like Sasson. You shouldn't do. But through this, when they conquered it, then it became Eretz Yisrael, became holy. So you could change it. But so that's the way the Chidah explains. That's the way the Chidah explains what it has to do with the land, and that's why even today, even though it's not the original people, we still cannot go back to Mitzrayim. But on the other hand, the Rebbe points out that there are those who do. The Rambam himself is mashma sefer mitzvahs that it has to do with the people also. So
the Chidah on your own, what's the
no, so this he does is he's seeing days when he gives his answers. If you're looking out of 10 and out of 9, it brings the Bechiyas and the Shut Chaim Shal. I actually looked up the Chaim Shal before the shir. It's very nice. He brings all the Rishonim and everything. He's ma'arif about it. It's about how come the Rambam and all the Kilos Kadeshas. By the way, I didn't mention also about the other Kilos Kadeshas. It says in the Gemara brings it in the Sukkah that all those people in all the Yidden which were in Alexandria were all punished and they were all killed by Alexander Mekton. All those Yidden. Why? Because they were over on the fact that they were in Mitzrayim.
only in his time.
Yeah, that time. But that was when the main that was the main time, and there was so many Yidden there. It says, I think, Kiflaim Kiyitzim Mitzrayim. It was like so many Yidden in Alexandria. What time? What's the Churban Bayis? Usually it's between. It's after the Churban Bayis, right? So it's towards the seconds. So, just forgot to mention it before. Okay, so we see this concept that this Israel going back to Mitzrayim is connected to the people also. So that brings from the Levush, right? Levush was kind of at the same time as the Ramah, right? The Levush writes like this, that in Siv Gimel, those are following inside. It's by me it's page 48, but I think for you it's
173.
173. Okay. The Levush writes that this is in the Medon Amunim Adeis Rishenim, that you're now that I'm married. He's talking about marrying a Mitzri. But the Idna nowadays, Achesh Olos and Chedev after and Chedev came, Shred Hevis and Chedev Kubal Hishav Achedim Tachtam. He brought other people to Mitzrayim. The Afagad of Avadim Yut and Nisharu and Kanes. And the Rebbe wants to emphasize that for sure, the Levush writes that for sure there are a minority of the original Mitzrayim Egyptians still there from the original families.
We don't know who they are, though.
We don't know who they are.
Yes,
They mixed in.
Right. So Havale Kavua. So the Chor Kavua Kamaksa Maksadami. Right. We know the rule is that let's say now we're going to go off a little bit for a different topic. Just explain this rule, this famous rule in Gemara, in Halacha, that let's say you go to buy meats.
9 souls selling kosher.
And let's say even right, and one store is selling treif, right?
Kavua is
So then you went into one of the stores and you bought meat, and you don't know which store you bought it from.
It's full in mention.
Right, mentioned a lot of places. So then so you could say, oh, there's 9 stores. The Reiv is 9 stores that are kosher, and there's one store which is not kosher. So I should be kosher. And I say, no, it's not the way it works. Since you bought it from a place from Kavor, what means from it was in its place where it originally was. It didn't leave its place. And the suffix started from in the store, not out of the store, and it was the makan kavua of the meat. Suffix started over there, so therefore we say kol kavuas kemachsa machsa is like a 50-50. So it's a suffix. So it's a suffix, 50-50 suffix. So if it's something that's shalom and hatera, we're going to say it's going to be aser, shalom d'rabbanan, that could be mutter. But let's say you found meat in the parking lot over there. So it's not, you didn't find it in the store, you didn't buy it in the store. The suffix for you happened only after I left the store already. It was already padish, already separated. So then the rule is called the padish, miruba padish. Whatever left from is already separated from its original place. So then it is it's go after the Reiv and we say it's kosher. If it's 9 which is not kosher, then we say it's not kosher. This has to do with a lot of things. It has to do with so many dinim, chametz, right? How many piles of chametz or tamei, tuma, so many different dinim is negea to. So the same thing is negea over here, right? It's negea over here is that since this mitzri is a chura, so if this mitzri the chura is kavua. If the Chura is found if he's found in Mitzrayim, so the Chura is Kavua. Right? If you were marrying him in Mitzrayim, the Chura is Kavua, so then it could be Mechsa, which is a suffix, and you can't marry the Mitzri. Because maybe he's one of those minority original Mitzri. Right? Maybe he actually is a real Mitzri.
Right.
So it would be usher to marry. But he says, no, you're allowed to marry nowadays. Why? When the Makama came, since he's separating from them.
Once he was Megaya, he's torch.
So it's exactly. So that was going to talk about it. What does it mean? How is he punish? So therefore, it's like he's paydish from the Reiv, and the Reiv is not Mitzrayim, and therefore you're allowed to marry him. right away. You don't have to wait 3 generations. That's what the Levush says. So we see from here that there is a minority which is left over here. There is still a minority. So the question is, what does it mean punish? What does it mean punish? The Rambam doesn't say that he has to leave the house, or that he has to go out of Mitzrayim, right? So what does it mean that he's Peidish, right? First, he has to leave the whole Eretz Mitzrayim. Now, the Rebbe gets into Dalet and Hay, gets into I don't know if we want to say if we have enough time to get into it, but the gist of it, basically, it's based on the Gemara about Seres Hashvatim, about it's an interesting Gemara. And what the Rebbe wants to bring out from this Gemara over there is that Seres Hashvatim, the places where they went to Galus, right? The pasuk says, is Bachlach, the Chavar, three other places.
Was mixed up.
So they were sent. It says in the pasuk where they went, right? In Malachim it says, right,
Is it called Bachlach and
Chavar, right, and a few other places over there, which the pasuk says where they went. Where Sanchedev, right? He took Sanchedev. He took that Seres Hashvatim, he brought them to Galus, and he said he brought them to these. He sent them to these places. So those places. So if you're not let him marry a Yid, you're not allowed to marry someone from those places. Not you're not allowed to marry, but if a guy from those places is Mekadesh, a Jewish girl, right, which from a Jewish girl, so there's a clash that maybe there was a real tradition because maybe this is from the Seres Hashvat, and that's what the Gemara talks about it. At the point which the Rebbe wants to bring,
like to the Ethiopians in Israel, right?
Right.
What?
Right.
Ethiopians.
What about them?
Discussion about them.
They're not 100% Yid Ethiopians. They have to be Magaya.
That's a different story altogether.
It's similar.
I hold that the Ethiopians, they can't possibly be Zera Yisrael. If they're Jewish, it's because they're Mavuyanim somehow. But they can't possibly be that Jewish stock, literally. It's just scientifically, it doesn't work out.
Right. Right, there's a different discussion. The Rebbe actually has a letter to somebody, a famous thing. The person was upset that he never got the letter, but we talk about it later. But I don't want to get carried away into Seres Hashvatim. But the point which the Rebbe wants to bring out from there is that it comes out that any in Bachlach or in Chaver, that whole any time any guy is Mekadesh from there in there is considered kavod. The whole place is considered kavod. Same thing is also about Mitzrayim. Anybody in Mitzrayim is considered kavua, and therefore
who said the thing about the lach and kavod?
It says here.
about what?
That if you should go there, it's
Oh, the Gemara. No, specifically the Gemara talks about it. The Gemara in Yavamis is a Gemara discussion about it.
Yeah.
But this we're extrapolating from that Gemara. See, there's a discussion. I just don't want to get too involved in it. Rashi and Taisus about that it comes out that Rashi basically says that anyone's mekadosh over there is kavur is kemachsa machsadami. The heiche kvi the Gemara says comes out any guy in over there is considered kavur. The play in that place. Same thing also.
You could say that for any place.
Same thing by Mitzrayim also.
Oh, like you say in Spain, like this. There are plenty of Jewish people in Spain from the Jews who chose to stay there instead of getting expelled. It just remained there. It was well known in history.
Right?
So you can say that
at the time of the Gemara they didn't have it. So this guy we're just bringing out one point
about any place.
Could be. At the time of the Gemara, the Yidden weren't in Spain, right? So he's could be that's not but he's just bringing out one point. Just bringing out the point is that anyone in Bachlach is a suffix, it's a chash, since it's considered kavod, it's a chash that maybe from a session. So too, anyone in Mitzrayim, since it's that's their makan kvius, there's a suffix that maybe it's a mitzvah, and so therefore the question is how could how could what does it mean you're Polish? Rambam doesn't write that you have to leave Mitzrayim. Mitzri has to leave Mitzrayim in order to be mutter to marry the Yiddish lady. So why not? So the Nakuda, which the Rebbe says that Padish, which you mentioned this answer, that Padish is either means that he leaves Mitzrayim. That's one way to be Padish, right? We said called it Padish, Miruba Padish, right? In order to be right. So he's the Mitzrayim. So we see he came from the Reiv of the people of Mitzrayim. The Reiv of the people of Mitzrayim are not the original Mitzrayim, and therefore you can assume he's not an original Mitzrayim, and therefore you're able to marry him. But there's another pshat. Another pshat of Padish is in the Din Torah that his Mitzias changed. That he's not anymore a guy, a mitzvah. He became through Gatos a different matziv. That's also considered Padish. He was Padish from them through becoming a Yid. That's also called Padish, even though he didn't actually leave Mitzrayim. He didn't actually leave Mitzrayim. It's also you mentioned that he's Padish. He leaves from being that
Egyptian.
Yeah. So
somebody Republican and decides to be a Democrat.
right. So on the other hand, so that answers our question. So the original question was, there's a Chizah asked this question, other people asked the question, how do they work together? The Rambam on one hand says that you're not allowed to go back to Mitzrayim nowadays. On the other hand, he said you're allowed to marry a Mitzri right away, right? So one answer, Chizah actually answers is that it has to do with the land, even if it's different people. Another answer is that because there's a miyut, like the Levush clearly says, in the Rambam, it's Meduik, and the Rambam says most of the people, but there is a minority still, which is not, which is still the original Mitzrayim. So therefore, when it comes to the in the Mitzrayim itself, all the regular Mitzrayim who didn't do Gedus, there's still it's a makim kavua, and therefore it's like there's an issue to be there because they're not bothered.
That whole sugya of kavua,
only Egyptian.
it's very difficult to understand. Kavua where?
Family.
Like let's say, for instance, that there's a city in Mitzrayim. So let's say that he's Polish in that city, a different city in Mitzrayim. What does kavod Polish mean? What is it?
So that's why we were saying before that it has to do with anywhere Mitzrayim is a mitzvah. Like that's is
Okay, I don't see what you get that. I know you shouldn't talk about it, but it's
someone from someone not.
and I never could really accept it very well. It's just not well defined.
right. So, well, it is defined, very defined. Anyone Mitzrayim, but you want to know where I'm saying. Well, let's first understand also what does it mean. It means someone in Mitzrayim is the place where the Mitzrayim are from, right? Anywhere Mitzrayim is the place where the Mitzrayim are from.
Yeah.
So it has to do anywhere in Mitzrayim. I'm saying it makes sense, right? Rebbe was backing it up. He was backing it, basically comparing it to the Gemara about the Seres Shvatim. But we find such a concept that we call anywhere in that place. But it does make sense, right? This is the place where the Egyptians are from, right? And we're saying there are Egyptians in this land, but this is the Egyptian land.
Second, third year.
So what? And we say they're not bottle over there. Okay, so that answers the question, right? Now, they're not bottle. Why they're not bottle? Because they're sure they're not bottle the rave or anything. Besides for being a kavua, we just said the kavua, but even though they're a meal, right? But the issue is over here is that they're makuku, they're depraved, right?
Right.
So the echos. So it's like a davar chashuv. A davar chashuv doesn't become bottle. Or you could say that since most of the other goyim are not against this kilkul, they're also makokul. It's not as makokul, so they're not mavatal. How it compares it to we say
part of them.
by in chulin, right? You have min b'minei, right?
I know.
Is not mavatal. It's the other one, the iser, right?
Right.
But
We just said it in the a couple days ago.
right, but even though the Chachamim hold that if one is Isser and one is Heter, even though minute, so then the Heter could be Mavatal, the Isser. That's when there's Heter and Isser, but these are Isser and Isser. One is more Makokol, the other one's more Makokol. Yeah. Okay, so what so the Rebbe always has some takeaway from there.
Yeah.
Now the Rebbe has always some takeaway. This Sicha was said in Tafshin Chav Zayin. Tafshin Chav Zayin is the 6 Day War.
Right.
So this is before they gave back the sign. Now, I don't know if it was before or after. It says Ba'aloiska Tafshin Chav Zayin. So no, it's just happened. They just took it. They didn't give it back yet.
Before Sinai War. That was
Yeah.
73.
Yeah, so it's
That
later.
was the counter the Kotel, the 6 Day War.
But they had a major victory against the Egyptians. It's Ba'aloiska is right after the. It's not right.
I'm saying they captured the Kotel and this. So a lot of Arab there was in Israel are Egyptian Arabs also.
No, but
Jordan.
in the 6 Day War, the Egyptians also attacked. Right? They had a victory over the Egyptians. Of course, no?
Yes.
So this is they were all attacked on all sides. For sure, the Egyptians were they had there was a major nissim against they won over the Egyptian army then. Egypt, Syria, and Jordan. Sure. I think so. That was
That was 1973.
Both wars.
Yeah.
Both wars.
they took the Sinai Desert and also, yeah. So this sicha was said in Tashkent of Zion. So it was right at it was right. It seems like it's right after the war. So Ebbet says like the son that the pasuk says, "Atim Isam Asher Asisim Mitzrayim." You saw what I did to Mitzrayim. Va'atim Shemay Tishma V'Keli. Now you shall listen to my voice. V'Shmartim is basically keep my covenant. Va'Yisam the Yisgulim Kalama. You will be a treasure from amongst all the nations. Mamlechas Kaina, a priestly kingdom, a great Kaddish, a holy nation. And so when you read about it, it's something which happened many years ago, right? We need one more. We need one more. So it's something that happened many years ago. Asher asisim Mitzrayim, Atem Risam Asher asisim Mitzrayim is something which happened many years ago. So it doesn't feel so vivid as Mukshi. It doesn't feel so real. At that time, the Rebbe was saying that the Yidden are seeing something's happening to the people, to the nations which are bothering the Yidden. So that and that they're getting punished for bothering the Yidden, and that arouses the pasuk says that we should listen to Hashem and we should keep His covenants. So it feels so much more like close to what it says in the pasuk. And you realize that there is still from the original Mitzrayim in Mitzrayim. So when these original Mitzrayim are now getting punished, and so therefore what it says, it gives a chizuk and it inspires us to be to be mechazik in our the Torah and Mitzvahs, to listen to the Eibush there, because Asher Asisim Mitzrayim is happening now. These are the original from the Menar, the Kavios, these original Mitzrayim are also getting punished right now during this happening. So that is mechazik. It feels more real. The prophetic the psukim feels more tangible. It's much more tangible. So that's the takeaway from this. From the punishment. Oh, so it says it's like whatever they did, that you saw what I did to Mitzrayim, and therefore you're going to listen to me. So you see it happening now again. Yeah.
Is he coming down? Yeah. Sure.
No, we need